Birushusi Mimeirosi, with the kind permission of my revered mother, so sein gesinnt und stark. My brother, Rav Mottel. Rosh Yeshiva's Chavri Akelul. And many, many beloved, cherished, dear friends. First, I must tell you how warmed and touched I am by the fact that so many of you have come, many from great distances. I wish that I could be certain that I would mention each person, overlook no one, and for fear that I might overlook, I would just like to thank you in the most profound way for being with me on an occasion that is of such obvious significance. Is Mark Avery here? No? I really just wanted to apologize to him for ignoring him for so many days. When Howard came up with this nutty idea about having somebody follow me around snapping pictures, I said to this fellow, who's a very sweet man, this Mark Avery, I said to Mark, this is not my idea, it's not fun, and the only way I'm going to be able to deal with this is by ignoring you. And I proceeded to ignore him for a number of days. When I say ignore, I really mean that I ignored him. I mean, I had to study, and I didn't say a word to him. I mean, he would walk around, and I chose to act as though he were in fact invisible. So I really did not get a chance to apologize to Mark, wherever you are, or if Howard can communicate it to you, I would appreciate your knowing that I feel badly about the fact that I ignored you. I just would like to reassure everybody, in case anybody thinks that this praise is going to corrupt me. I really love everybody who came up here. I don't believe one word of this whole thing. And I want you to know I know best. One of the fellows from the Kollel, Rabbi Baum, told me something which might be apropos. Avremi said to me that somebody once asked Winston Churchill about his humility when wherever he would go, there would be a packed house to listen to his speeches. And Churchill responded by saying he had no difficulty being humble because he knew that if this were his hanging, there would be twice as many people. I must tell you a little bit about my personal perspective of passing 50. It is, as many of you may have experienced, some of you yet to experience, a time in which the look that one achieves over life is that life is no longer marching. It is rushing, it's galloping. There's not enough time to get the things done that one would like to believe should be done. There is the humiliation of not being the many things that one had anticipated being by this time in one's life. There is the knowledge that one's mortality is something that is no longer that vague entity that is in the far distance. And there is so much to do. And at the same time that one is beginning to feel this sense of growing old, I must confess to you, and I suspect that I'm not alone, but I shall confess on a personal level that inside of me there roams rather freely a little boy. And that when it becomes spring, that I have this inclination, this impulse to run out and to play ball. But I'm really not quite able to do so because I get winded just running the steps. I have the feeling that I would like to shout and be boisterous, as I once did when I was young and carefree. But it's very inappropriate for rabbis to run out and be boisterous and to shout. I have the feeling that I'd like to be silly. But rabbis are not supposed to be silly. And I would like to be funny, as my nephews and nieces will tell you, because they complain that I have lost my sense of humor. They remember when I was a good deal younger and was somewhat of the family clown. But it's hard for me to be funny because I've listened to too many peklach. The trials, the tribulations, the pains that you've shared with me make it difficult to be the clown that I once was. The little boy in me needs constant reassurance, a good word, a pat on the back, a smile, a compliment, positive reinforcement. The little boy in me needs security, the knowledge that things are going to be okay. The kind of feeling that I had when my father of blessed memory was around. That even if I would find myself out on a limb, things would be okay. And during this transition someplace in the last 30 years or so, I've been very fortunate that while this little boy was becoming a less conspicuous figure, was occupying more and more time indoors within the reign that I would grant in my heart and perhaps in my fancy, that I was surrounded by different groups of people, all of whom became so important in being able to make things work. There was the generation, many of you here tonight, that were part of my earliest youth, who remember my bris, who remember my running around on 11th Street, or perhaps here in Shul, when we first moved here. Through the years, you have been the landscape, the familiar mountains, the valleys, the magnificent panorama that was so familiar to me and that gave me that sense of well-being. Even after my father of blessed memory passed away, I knew when I looked at all of you that things would be okay. You were such pillars of friendship, of strength and support to my father of blessed memory, and Yibadel L'chaim Tovim, to Lang Lebed Gio, continue to be to my mother. That just knowing you were there, however infrequent our contact would be, was a sense of reassurance. And then there was a group of people my age couple years younger, a few years older, who were my first audience when I came here to this community, young and raw and green. And there are many of you out there today. Some names that are familiar, some that are not. The Grandys, the Bernsteins, the Kahns, the Blumenfelds, the Dorfs, that whole generation. Milton Tony, there was a whole group there. And you tested me, and you challenged me, and you listened, and you responded, and you urged me on, and you helped me clarify and focus. You helped me realize my strengths, and you enabled me to gain the kind of confidence that would allow me to grow and to give. And then there came a young constituency, new families, young people who were able to rise so magnificently. In many ways, to leave a very attractive, very secure past behind. And to come and stand beside me, to make up the sum and substance, the fabric, the strength of what has become the Beth Yehuda community on the west side. They gave me courage. They gave me a magnificent field to till. And they responded with the kind of fruit that is so succulent and so sweet and so special that it has been the greatest source of nachas, their friendship, their eagerness, their thirst, their willingness to learn, their intrepid adventurism to go where others could not walk. They were and remain a deep and abiding source of gratification. So all of you, regardless of what group you belong to, are part of the reasons that I'm able today to look at my 50 years and to say to myself, these 50 years, regardless of my inadequacies, however ineffective I may have been, but I have been blessed with a constituency and a community of friends, regardless of distance, geographical, what have you. Whatever group, there is a firmness and a strength, and a love and an affection, and a depth and a durability that is precious to me beyond anything that I can ever say. And I am indebted to you for everything that you have given me and continue to give. These are my yesterdays and my today. I would like to tell you a little bit about my tomorrow. There is no way in which I can avoid the observation, and an observation that I have shared with many of you, that out of the many hundreds of cities in this country, that only a handful will survive, Jewishly. Those cities are going to be cities who will stand up and be counted. Communities that will provide the full spectrum of need, that will allow people of every persuasion within tradition to find the level that they can learn, that they can grow within, kind of institutions and agencies, that will speak to excellence and will enable people both from within the community and from without to find this a haven in which to prosper, to grow, to thrive. I made decisions along with a great many friends in the last year which were not terribly popular, which many of you received with patience and the indulgence that speaks to your remarkable friendship. And to that dream, a dream which was not a comfortable dream. It has since subjected me to pressures that I never knew existed. It has taken me tens of thousands of miles to suffer humiliation that I never wished to endure. To ask people to support a city that they don't know about and haven't seen. I had the warmth and the vision that there were people who shared that dream, were willing to commit their most precious assets to it, their children, their time, their willingness to work. And that within that vision and within that dream, that there was going to be a time in which Milwaukee would be recognized as the city of excellence that so few people know about, but I, who have been part of your friendship, am so profoundly aware is there in great abundance. Our sages tell us that when the Pharaoh had the dream that nobody could interpret, that the wine, the minister of the beverages, the Saramashkim, went to tell him about a slave boy who could interpret dreams. And they all asked the question, the Saramashkim disliked this Jewish lad, this Hebrew. It would have been much simpler had he himself gone to tell Joseph the dream of the Pharaoh, to repeat it to him and to ask him for an explanation. Then he could present himself to the Pharaoh, he, the Saramashkim, the wine butler, he could present the explanation and he would be the hero, and nobody would know the better. And our sages tell us that the Saramashkim understood that he couldn't do that, because if he were going to go and tell his personal dream to Joseph, Joseph would interpret it as the dream of a commoner. When royalty, when the Pharaoh, when the king of Egypt dreams a dream, it is not his dream. It is the dream of his kingdom. And for that reason, he knew that if he were to go to present the dream as his own, to tell Joseph what he had seen, that the answer, the interpretation, would be totally irrelevant to the Pharaoh. I can tell you in all good conscience that my dream is not for me. It is a dream that I know, a vision that I have, that will bring the kind of vitality, the kind of growth, the kind of excitement, the kind of excellence to this community that we deserve, so that Milwaukee will be one of that handful of cities that as time passes will be a city of Jewish excellence from every perspective. Since I'm the birthday boy, I would like to solicit from you a birthday present. I would like to ask the generation that has been the familiar landscape, the pillars of reassurance, to be strong, to be healthy, to grow old with dignity, so that I may continue to feel that to someone I am still a little boy. To know that there are the many of you out there whose love remains unquestioned over scores of years, whose friendship is steadfast, and that it pours through the same vessels, the same veins that were part of the vitality of my father of blessed memory. I would like for all of the members of that generation to see to it that they will inform me of the times in which I can be useful to them. I feel indebted for everything that you have done, and you have no idea how much I would appreciate the information that would enable me, in some small measure, to repay the many, many kindnesses that you have given me. I know that there are those of you who believe that I should have, if not prophecy, then at least some divine inspiration, and to know on my own when things are happening. I confess that there are times when my divine inspiration antenna are down, and I desperately need for those of you who can allow me to be part of your lives as time goes on, to give me that opportunity. I would like for that generation who were my peers when I first came here, who walked shoulder to shoulder, who eagerly embraced me, who brought my ideas, as foreign as they were, to the highest councils of this community, who enabled me to assume a position in this community that would lead to the many great things that have happened. Time, focus, has brought altogether too much distance between us. There are ties that we share, to which we alone are privy. I need once again to be re-engaged with all of you. I need to feel once again all of the strength that you alone infused within me. And the constituency that you have provided in the past remains to me a constituency that I would so much like to be part of once again. My birthday present from my friends of that generation is once again to be welcomed back into a circle that we can restore. Not feelings that have grown old or cold, because they have never grown old or cold, but something that will once again become a living and active part of my day-to-day life. And to my young community, who have given me so much nachas, who have given me of their temerity, of their courage, of their bold, fearless capacities, and who have given me a trust and have invested me with the faith that demands and makes much of the yet unformed metal of my life. I solicit your continued trust and faith. The pressures, the difficulties, the going is at times difficult, and it's hard from time to time not to flinch. I need your continued trust, the enthusiasm that has never waned, the friendship, and the eagerness that has always been so ready and so available. If all of you can put together these gifts, then you will have made this birthday, my Jubilee birthday, the finest, most rewarding, most gratifying, happy birthday of my life. I will be deeply indebted for those presents and those presents alone. For all that you have given me, the inspiration that you will never know, that has left such an indelible mark upon my life and the life of my family, Vegi and the children, for your respect, for your love and affection, and above all for your great charity in judging me generously when I least deserved it. I am grateful beyond words. You have given me more presents than you know. But at this critical juncture in my life, as the birthday celebrant, I would like those presents which I enumerated. And knowing your undying kindness and your unabated friendship, I thank you in advance. Thank you. I have to open this up. What?
Open it up and read what's in the top safer.
Okay, I have to open this up and read what's in the top safer. So you have to give me your kind of indulgence for one more minute. I know that everybody over here has thanked Howard and Lisa for putting this thing together. I would like to thank them personally on my own behalf. Howard and Lisa, thank you for everything.
The other side, the other side.
Oh, the other side. Oops. Okay, here we go. To our dearest Rebbe, Shlita, may Hashem Yisbarach grant you and the Rebbetzin health, strength, and grant nachas from your children and your extended family at CBJ for at least another 50 years. It is our prayer and hope that we should grow under your leadership to the level you expect of us until the day you shall lead us behind. Mashiach Tzidkenu b'mher v'yameinu amen. Your family at CBJ, Adar Tafshin Nun, 5,750, Mitvat Kot. Thank you. What? It's a set of Midrash Rabbis with the Yefei Torah.